you know what KV4EOC stands for? I didn't know, but this call sign and this radio may be the best hope you have for getting the word out during an emergency. KV4EOC, is anyone on frequency? In today's technology-driven environment, you may be surprised that a primary communication tool used by emergency responders and relief organizations after a disaster is not a cell phone, it's a radio. Amateur radio operators have been providing vital communication during natural disasters such as floods, hurricanes, and earthquakes since 1910.
Amateur radio is so important because everybody relies on cell phones, the trunking system in the county, they all rely on that. And they will fail at some point. You can take Puerto Rico, for example, or the wildfires in California. When they go down, amateur radio is there to take over if need be.
In Volusia County, Carl and his fellow amateur radio operators provide communication support to the emergency public shelters that are open during a disaster such as a hurricane. And when the wind blows out the power, it's this radio communication that relays vital information to the county's Emergency Operations Center, helping to ensure people are safe and have the provisions they need while power is being restored.
Without amateur radio, the Operations Center would not have known what happened to that shelter and what they needed to get back up online. So after the hurricane passed, they were able to get out there and get everything working again.
Now, Carl and other amateur radio operators in Volusia County are part of an overall nationwide group, the American Radio Relay League. And a week after Hurricane Maria ravaged Puerto Rico, this group sprang into action following a request by the American Red Cross for 50 amateur radio operators to help with the recovery communications. 22 volunteers were selected, and these responders geared up and deployed to provide assistance across the island. Recently, Carl and other amateur radio operators attended a presentation to learn how these efforts went in Puerto Rico.
For approximately 80 years, there's been a memorandum of understanding between the American Radio Relay League and the Red Cross for mutual support. But this was the first time in history that the Red Cross actually activated a request for amateur radio operators on this scale for a disaster like this happened with Maria. The initial mission was to do the safe and well, and we ended up not fulfilling much of that mission because when we arrived, frankly, people weren't safe and well. And they realized they needed tactical communications where we could make requests for supplies, medical equipment. So when we deployed all of our operators around the island, many of the requests might be ranging from water supplies to giving communication status reports. They even assisted with the Guajataca Dam that started to breach, and our operator was there and even did some air traffic control for the helicopters coming in to do the repairs. There are at least 2 instances where amateur radio operators were able to make the calls for medical transport. So that's what ended up being the majority, both to the Red Cross and then eventually to the Federal Emergency Operations Center.
According to Joe, in Puerto Rico, the hours were long, sometimes 24/7, and a 2-week deployment turned into 3 weeks due to the importance of the work. It made a difference, though, and for Joe, it was rewarding and a memory of a lifetime. Experiences in Puerto Rico also provide fellow amateur radio operators with a lot of good lessons learned, which continues to help radio communication efforts following a disaster evolve. According to experts, the old concern with how many messages did we deliver has been replaced with how quickly did we adapt to meet the communication needs, which, as in the case of the Puerto Rico response, required out-of-the-box thinking and stamina. This dedication to continuing to involve radio communications is critical for this dedicated group known for their love of tinkering and desire to help communities affected by a disaster.
I like the idea to be able to communicate and also tinker, like you say, because it's a lot of people picture amateur radio as basically tinkers. A lot of new ideas for radio has come out of amateur radio because we're experimenters. Most amateur radio operators are experimenters. And then the public service idea came out of it, and I heard about that, and I loved it. I came to a meeting here in Volusia County, probably I think about 2001, and loved it. It was a great group of guys. They understood what I liked, and helping the community. I've always liked that. KG4HBN is their own frequency.
To learn more about the Emergency Services Amateur Radio Program in Volusia County, visit www.volusiaaries.org And who knows, your call sign may be the next one we hear over the radio when the wind blows. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Shelley Safranek.